Hello and welcome to the Malvern show. You join us on a beautiful day in a fabulous location, so let's go and explore. The RHS Malvern Spring Festival is held every year at the beginning of May, marking the start of the horticultural calendar. It is located at the Three Counties Showground in Malvern in Worcestershire, and the Three Counties refers to the counties of Worcestershire, Gloucestershire and Herefordshire. This is a beautiful part of the world, and the show is set to the backdrop of the Malvern Hills, and with the sun shining, what could be nicer? After a long drawn-out wet winter, the mood is one of jubilation, a chance to celebrate British gardening at its best. And for me, to make the day even more special, I'm joined by my lovely mum and dad. So we'll begin our tour by going and having a look at the show gardens. Now, judging of show gardens follows a very strict criteria. It's made up of 7 judges, from designers and horticulturalists to construction experts. I've always been quite curious as to how the judging works, and we went to a talk at the Landscape Show in London just at the end of last year, in which James Alexander St Clair, who we'll meet later, explained exactly how judging is done. It follows a strict points-based criteria looking at design, construction and planting, and the designer writes their own brief by which they are judged against. The judge's personal tastes don't come into it at all. I was quite interested to see at Malvern this year, one of the judges is Charlotte Harris, and we met Charlotte in 2021 with her debut Chelsea garden, which won a gold. It was a lovely garden, and we chatted to her and she gave Olivia some career advice. We then met her again last year in 2023 when she was there with her Horatio's garden, which won Best in Show and another gold medal. This was a beautiful garden, but I'm very much interested in the people behind the gardens, and I always love following their careers and seeing how they're progressing. So to see her this year as a judge is really lovely. So without further ado, let's go and meet some of the designers and see their gardens at Malvern 2024. The first garden, entitled Concrete, designed by Ian McBain. This garden seeks to show an alternative approach, demonstrating that it is possible to choose sustainable and reclaimed material while creating a versatile, dynamic and beautiful outdoor space. The garden showcases paving that has been produced in the UK with cement-free concrete. Designed by David Wyndham to evoke the feel and reflect the beauty of the gardens created by Sir Roy Strong and his late wife Lady Trevelyan, the garden has now passed into the hands of the charity Perennial, so that with its signature Victoria and Albert Temple and topiary, it can be enjoyed by all. Designed by Kerry-Ann Fitzpatrick and TJ Kennedy, this garden for Macmillan Cancer Support is designed to encourage all of us to consider how we make a lasting legacy that will make a difference to people affected by cancer, not only now but also in generations to come. Designed by Susie Dean, the Grand Appeal Garden is a place for childlike exploration and adventure. Established paths are coupled with clearings running through the planting, encouraging people to travel off the beaten path and see what they can discover. The garden is dedicated to the Grand Appeal, the Bristol Royal Hospital for Children's charity, which provides places for families to stay when their child is in hospital. This was one of my favourite gardens. I thought it was lovely, really lush planting, and I particularly like this boundary fence, which is just made up of sticks, just all bundled together. So it's quite a nice naturalistic way of forming a boundary. This garden, designed by Michael Lote, may not be an obvious gold medal winning garden at first glance. However, this garden showcases sustainable construction methods both below and above ground. The designer has chosen conservation-minded construction methods and materials, some of which have never been tried before in a show garden. Designed by Mark Draper, this space, with outdoor entertaining in mind, is a place for family and friends to come together and enjoy the views that roll out from the garden's imagined location among the hillsides and sweeping valleys of the Cotswolds. A beautifully constructed garden and well-planted garden worthy of its gold medal. Designed by Lu Wen Young and Young Samney, this garden, Green Islands, is a living art installation and draws inspiration from the poem No Man is an Island by John Donne. The planting is absolutely beautiful and takes inspiration from natural scenery of Korean islands, and it features things like Cornus florida and also erigeron, as well as lots and lots of moss. This garden, entitled Eat, Drink and Be Rosemary, was designed by Laura Ashton Phillips. The garden is a space for a young, environmentally conscious family to escape the whirlwind of everyday life. There are areas for growing and eating your own produce, playing and learning all about nature, with habitat creation designed into various elements of the garden. This garden had to be seen to be appreciated. It was all about the detail, all those extra little touches, and the entire garden will be relocated at a children's mental health and wellbeing garden at Gloucestershire Royal Hospital. Next we come on to the RHS feature garden designed by Jamie Langlands and entitled The Secret Escape. This garden is tucked away from the hustle and bustle of the main show. The garden is a perfect blend of natural beauty and upcycled marvels, providing visitors with a unique experience. A disco ball polytunnel, complete with disco ball and dance floor, surrounded by nature, leads into the rest of the garden, which is deliberately wild, enhancing the enchanting atmosphere within. This garden is so much more than a feature garden. It's a discovery of nature's wonders entwined with human creativity. And a bit like when we went to the urban show, lots of ingenious ways of growing plants. In addition to the stunning gardens that we've just seen, the Three Counties Showground is also home to some permanent gardens. There are 5 in total, and these gardens are here all the time and can be enjoyed at any time of the year. So these are just a quick look through some of them. And there are 5 permanent gardens in total, and they consist of the Platinum Jubilee Garden and the Treehouse Garden, Memories of Service Garden, the Alchemy Garden and the Caves Folly. So lots to see and lots of ideas. And with the ever-growing popularity of houseplants, the RHS have started this brand new festival of houseplants, and in this building were lots of installations and hands-on workshops that you could get advice all about your houseplants. There were lots of social media's expert houseplant growers there to answer questions. And one of the things I liked most about the Malvern show was all the theatres that they had set up around the showground. This one was the Kitchen Garden Theatre, and there were talks running all the time from different guest speakers. And we headed over to Festival Theatre where there was a really good lineup of speakers, hosted by James Alexander St Clair, who I mentioned previously that we heard talk, and he's very entertaining, really good. So we just caught the end of Francis Tophill's talk, and then the big act was Alan Titchmarsh, and their 1-hour session was entitled An Audience with Alan Titchmarsh, and they just fielded questions from the audience very skillfully.
Yeah. Any more?
And Nobby Russet.
Now, when it comes to oversharing, I'm not so sure. Nobby Russet.
Yeah, and I used to go to school with his brother.
And after this talk, I headed over to the Tips and Tricks Theatre for a talk by Jonathan Moseley. And this was a talk called Making the Most of Your Cut Flowers. And you can see some of the arrangements that he did were absolutely beautiful. And it's given me lots and lots of ideas. And I confess that I did buy quite a lot of products from him, including some wire, some of the snips he recommended, and a couple of little containers to do arrangements in. And so I'm quite excited when I get home to put some of the tips and tricks he taught us into practice. And this was the School Garden Challenge, so encouraging the next generation of horticulturalists and gardeners to get started. So this one was called Over the Rainbow, and full of lots of colourful planting. And everywhere there is lots of beautiful retail, all sorts of art and craft stalls, both outside and inside. And this really caught our eye. This was a lovely little caravan. It's called Barefoot Country Living Caravans. Isn't it cute? It's so lovely. And we thought we could just imagine Murphy's Garden on tour in one of these. What about that? But with the price starting at about 37,000, we might need to do a few more videos yet and get a few more subscribers. And now for the Floral Marquee. So this is horticulture at its highest quality standard, and there are 50 or more leading nurseries that come and display their goods, and they're all specialists at growing what they grow. They do it really, really well. So we'll go and see what's on offer. The Malvern show being quite early is a good time to look at some of the early flowering bulbs and perennials. Here there's some delphiniums, and then we've also got bulbs, we've got tulips and daffodils, so it's nice to see them, what they look like, so you can choose what bulbs you're going to buy in the autumn. So a lovely array of different colours here to choose from. And with regards to perennials, if I had to choose, if this was the catwalk and I had to predict the plants that are most in fashion at the moment, topping the catwalk, I would say 3 things that keep coming up again and again. Camasias, lots of camasias. Also GMs are absolutely everywhere. And also thylictrum, I think, is another one that I'm seeing quite a lot of. Here is some beautiful little bonsai trees. All lovely trees in miniature. And speaking of miniature, here's a little ginkgo, and we've got a ginkgo, a small ginkgo in the new tree area, and I'm dying to show you that because the leaves are right and it's looking lovely. Here's lots of beautiful euchras, lovely for different leaf colours and forms. And also some tiarellas too, another plant actually that's quite in vogue at the moment as well. These are great plants just for giving a bit of contrast in leaf form and colour, and also the kind of frothiness that they bring with their flowers. So really valuable plant in the garden. And pelargonium's another one that's great. They like dry conditions, so good if we do get a hot summer, as we did a couple of years ago. And just look at all these delicious looking herbs. It's quite inspiring to try perhaps growing a few more herbs. I've got the basics like chives and a couple of varieties of mint and rosemary. My rosemary's looking a bit sad, so this perhaps inspires me to try a few more and even to look after the ones I have got. I have repotted my mint, which was getting a bit pot bound, but these all look absolutely delicious and perfect. And this stall showcases all the different types of grasses that are available. And I know a lot of people don't like grasses, but they really do add a new dimension to the garden. And I did a video last year about how to ensure better planting in your borders and taking inspiration from RHS Garden Bridgewater, and even the video we did with Rosie Hardy. Rosie really advocates grasses, and the reason being is that grasses add movement to the garden, and nothing does it quite like grasses. So really, if you haven't considered it, really think about it. And this one, I love this grass. This is Lazula nivea, and I've got this one. I've got it in pots, and it's just lovely. And some more lovely plant combinations, and I spy another GM. This is totally tangerine. And I also spotted this epimedium. This is the epimedium that we have got, and I never knew what its full name was, so I took this picture just so I could remember what it's called. And look who's here. It's Hardy's Cottage Garden Plants. Rosie wasn't there. She was at Chelsea. She's doing a garden at Chelsea, which we will see when we come to do the Chelsea video. But I did meet her lovely husband, Rob, and had a lovely chat with him. So here's the photograph. And he gave me Rosie's book as well, which I'm excited to read. And of course, I did buy some plants from her. How could I resist? And these are the 2 plants that I've got. I've wanted one of these since I saw Rosie talking about it. It looks lovely. It's called Clouds of Perfume. It's a phlox. And it goes in partial shade. I've got the perfect spot for it. And this one is Thylictrum Black Stockings, which we saw at RHS Bridgewater. And it's a lovely, lovely plant. It's got these dark stems. So looking forward to getting those in. So here in the woodland garden, this was the area we had the little curved bench seat, stone seat, which we've actually relocated to where the tree area is. It looks great there. I will show you that in a future video, but this is a little space that was crying out for something like this. So I've added some lovely compost, so it's humus rich compost as this plant likes. Probably could have done with 3 of them, but I just physically couldn't carry them. But Rob assured me that it will bulk up over time and I can split it. So I think that's going to look absolutely lovely there. And all I need to do now, I'll keep that label somewhere safe so I remember its full name, and I will just water it in. And Murphy knows just the spot for the thylictrum, which prefers a sunnier area. So lead the way, Murphy. So I'm going to put it just here in the quadrant garden. I have got some other thylictrums in other parts of the quadrant garden, and they just look lovely. They've got that nice kind of frothy flowers on them, which I really like. It's very light and very airy, so I think it would look good here. I find the Malvern show really inspirational, full of ideas, as they all are. Every time I go to an RHS show, I come back with lots of ideas. And I think this time the big inspiration for me was going to the talk by Jonathan Moseley. I'm not a florist by background, I'm a gardener, so I am just getting into using the flowers that I'm growing to do some floristry. So bought some things from him, bought some wire, bought some little snips, because he said it's important not to use ordinary scissors because that can crush the stems. And I bought these 2 little containers. So I'm just been having a play, putting into practice some of the things he taught us on the talk. This is great because if you've got a clear vase, like a glass vase, if you use chicken wire, it doesn't look so good. I'm trying obviously to not use floristry foam. I've never used floristry foam. I like natural arrangements. So by using this, you just hook it round and form little hoops like that. And then you keep making hoops, and then you stuff it into the glass vase, and you can see it, and but it looks nice, and it can be used again and again. So I thought that would be a good thing to buy. So this vase is all flowers from our garden, and I'm quite proud of what I've managed to achieve. And then I had some flowers that somebody gave me last week, and I had just put them in a vase, and they looked a bit uninspiring. So I've just played about with putting them into these little bud vases, and he did an arrangement which was all whites and green, so I've had a go at doing that, and I'm quite pleased. For my first attempt, I'm quite pleased. So hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you again in the next video. Bye for now. And before I go, I just want to say a big thank you to all of you who have subscribed to the channel, and we've reached 10,000 subscribers. So thank you all very, very much. And I'll just play you out with this lovely view.